These little cuties here think they need my attention. I think they think I have something for them. But sheep are not why we are out here. We are out here to check the apples. As much as I don't want to have to deal with apples just yet, it's happening. And I don't want to waste them all. There's a couple really nice trees, but we've got some taste testing to do because some of the trees that we picked last year and loved have next to no apples on them. And then there's trees that we've never gotten apples before that are covered in apples. So fingers crossed we get a few. I've got my 2 handy dandy buckets and my apple picker, and it is time to go see what we can find. This tree right here is a prime example. This was one of our top juice trees last year. We did most of our apples from this, and also most of the apples that the kids took for school all through the fall. And you can see there's one branch that's still producing quite well, but otherwise she's pretty empty. But on the flip side here, we have this one, which is quite covered in apples. Now look at that beauty. Oh, and another one just fell off that tree. They are falling off like mad. These are kind of like a Golden Delicious. I'm not even going to try this because I've used these in years past. But as you can see, I have missed a lot of these big, gorgeous apples. Well, I'm finally back at the tree that I really want to pick. This is a tree that we found last night while we were harvesting cherries. And I said, I need to come back today to pick this one for juice because unfortunately, the apples are all falling off this and they taste amazing. Again, this is a tree that we've never gotten apples from before, so it was a surprise to us. And it's an early one, as so many of them seem to be this year. Well, I'm not going to get as much as I'd hoped off this tree. Definitely there was a lot more on the ground this morning, and I probably should have picked them last night. But, so good. They're going to be awesome for juice. And right next door is this one. The worst bit is, as I stand here and pick these ones, I hear them falling elsewhere. It is so hard not to beat yourself up about wasting these apples. I mean, even the sheep can't eat the number of apples we have. Well, I didn't do too bad. That real full bucket is the ones that were from off the ground. And then these beauties here are the ones from off the tree. And look at that. Look at that. That's like, I'm not even going to use that for juice. That is totally for eating. Gorgeous apple. But before I head in from out here, I need to look at this tree and do a taste test because this is the one I've been hearing them falling off all the time I've been over there. But the other thing I do notice is they don't look super healthy and half this tree is dead. So let's see if I can find something that's decent to try. They're little, so they are quite sweet, really sweet, but very dense. I do wonder if they are supposed to be quite a bit bigger than that. I took one off that definitely looked a lot riper in my mind. There was no pink on it, but it's got that yellowish tint. Oh my gosh. Soft, but so juicy and sweet. I may have to come back with another bucket and pick these ones because these would make gorgeous juice. Like the juice practically drips out of it. I don't know if you can actually see it. Gorgeous apple. Apple season is here, folks. We have 4 5-gallon buckets. Now these are roughly 23 to 25 pounds in each bucket of apples. And each batch of our juice takes about 100 pounds of apples. So we're going to take you through this process. So first step, of course, is going to be to wash these apples. And then we have to cut them in half so that they can go through the opening on our little wood chipper. And we'll take you out there when Chris gets it all set up and we get the first bucket done so that we can show you this process. And then we use our old wine presses or fruit presses. All right, first bucket of apples is cut up, the ones that needed to be cut up, ready to go out to the chipper. As you can see here, that's sort of what we're looking at. Basically, they have to be small enough to fit through the little slot. I'll get Chris to show you when he takes us out to do the chopping.
All right, so the other half of this operation is getting everything set up to do the pressing. So that's what I've been working on, and I'll show you what I've got set up. We have got the press out, and it's all washed up. This is one of those things that it sits there for a large portion of the year and doesn't get used, so it tends to get a little bit dusty. And our other tool is this little wood chipper, which we featured before. I'll link that video up above. And it makes a really quick job of all these apples, as you can see in the bucket. These are all cut up to a size that will fit into the chute so that we can basically grind them up and press them in a moment.
Chris is almost ready for pressing the first batch. And I don't know if you can hear it.
These are very juicy apples.
These are exceptionally juicy apples. That's why I wanted to do it. He hasn't even pressed it yet, and look at that golden deliciousness coming out. Love making apple juice.
Well, we're all ready to press the first batch. We've got the first batch in here. I think it's going to press a lot of juice, and we've got it all set up, so I just have to start cranking, and you can kind of hear in the background it's leaking out, and I haven't even pressed this yet. These are very, very, very juicy apples. It's a very easy thing to do when you have one of these presses. And you can hear it just running out of this. It is a little bit brown this year, or this time of year, just because it's so warm that we really can't stop them from going a bit brown before we get them pressed.
All right, so we are next day after pressing all that juice. It was about 10:30 at night by the time we'd had dinner. I was not doing juice, so we just put this in the fridge, let it sit, and we're getting to it today. Now, one thing that you're going to want to do is make sure your jars are sterilized and ready to go, because this is quite a quick process when it gets to happening. Basically, you do not want to let this boil. This is a very important fact. Do not boil your apple juice, or you will have apple cider or something that tastes very similar. It has a completely different taste than the fresh pressed juice. Now, 190 degrees, that's what we do. I have my thermometer. We're going to get stirring this, and we'll see where it ends up. We're getting pretty close. My jars are sterilized. Now I'm doing 8 liters at a time. I can only put 7 liters in my canner, so you have to water bath can this right after you jar it. So there's a whole big process here, but I'll take you through it kind of with some video here. All right, so we've kept it at our 190 for the 5 minutes. I need to move this pot a little closer. There we are. Ooh, that handle's hot. Now it's time to jar this up. Once again, make sure those jars are nice and sterilized. I usually leave a 1/2 inch head space, give or take a little bit. It's not a big deal. You want to try and keep your juice at the 190 while you're canning it up. There we are. And into the water bath canner. And there you have first 7 jars in the canner. These need to come to a boil, and then they need to can for 10 minutes. Doesn't matter if it's pints or quarts, it is 10 minutes in the canner. Then we're going to get those out quickly, and we are going to move on.